You know, it's mad to think that the Switch celebrates its 7th birthday this coming March, and it's still putting the big boys to shame on hardware that's barely thicker than a slice of bread. And 2024 should be a really interesting year for Nintendo, seeing as their as yet untitled successor to the Switch, which, come on, surely should be called the Super Nintendo Switch. Come on, Nintendo, it's right there, don't be silly. It's widely expected to release before the end of 2024. But the original Nintendo Switch is certainly far from dead, as evidenced by the sheer quantity of quality titles due to slide down the production line into our gaping insatiable gullets over the next 12 months. So let's take a look at 10 titles guaranteed to be on every Switch owner's shelf this coming year. Starting with number 10, Mario vs Donkey Kong. The original rivalry is reignited, but whose side do you take? I love them both. Oh, I tell you, this is truly the Sophie's choice of our generation. Did you know that this was first released for the Game Boy Advance way back in 2004? I did not have a clue. A great relief for me though, because it means that there's still hope for my much petitioned for remake of the Game Boy Advance version of March of the Penguins. Please God, please, I need this, I need it. This remake though offers not only a visually lavish update, but also introduces co-op multiplayer, allowing a friend to join you as you attempt to retrieve each of the mini Mario toys stolen by Donkey Kong. Mini Mario toys? I remember the days it used to be people Donkey Kong was stealing. But I tell you, you can't get away with that these days. PC gone mad. As the Switch enters its sunset period, Mario vs Donkey Kong should provide yet another slick platformer starring everyone's favourite middle-aged Italian tradesperson when it launches on February 16th. Hopefully, this will do well enough that Nintendo then greenlights a new Donkey Kong Country game. Come on. But not until my March of the Penguins remake comes out, of course. Number 9, the Tomb Raider 1-3 Remaster. Another nostalgic treat just in time for Valentine's Day, as Core Design's original Tomb Raider trilogy leaps its way onto the Nintendo Switch this February 14th in lovingly remastered form. Port Factory Aspire has given the iconic action platformers a new coat of paint, and in a nice touch, players will be able to switch between the original and remastered visuals anytime they like. I love this feature in remakes, and without fail, I'll do it about 73 times within the first hour and then never do it again. And if the thought of playing Lara Croft's original trio adventures with better than ever visuals isn't enough, this compendium also includes the hefty expansion packs for each game, and better yet, with an asking price of just 25 quid, it represents some of the best value for money gaming that you're going to get on the Switch this year. And of course, you can still lock the butler in the freezer. Oh yes, nothing says 1997 like elder abuse. Number 8, Princess Peach Showtime. Long-starved Princess Peach fans have finally had their prayers answered, as the upcoming Princess Peach Showtime marks the character's first protagonist role in a video game since Super Princess Peach all the way back in 2005. That is shocking. Come on, Nintendo. Unfolding as a stage play in the vein of Super Mario Bros. 3, Showtime will see Peach face off against the evil sorceress Great and her band of minions known as the Sour Bunch. What a great name. The game's hook here is that Peach can undergo costume changes, which allow her to transform into a sword fighter, a detective, a martial artist, and even a patissiere. A patissiere. How much do you do the accent when you're saying patissiere? I'm quite Scottish, so is it patissiere? Or do I just go for the French and say patissiere? I don't know, someone who makes pastries. I tell you something though, to save the day, it would be a very, very quick game if Peach could just bake a machine gun. That would help the speedrunners. Princess Peach Showtime looks like it's going to boast charm and visual splendour to spare when it drops on March 22nd, and I cannot wait for this one. Number 7, another code, Recollection. What a great name, Recollection, Recollection. Nintendo are very smart. If you missed out on the cult favourite point-and-click series Another Code during the mid to late noughties, then you're in luck, because the duology has been remade and bundled together here with an amazing pun name, Recollection. Recollection, fantastic work there. I mean, that's worth the price of entry just for the name itself. And to be honest with you, this is why I love Nintendo, right? Because they're not afraid to stick out a collection of games that no one is going to play. The game follows teenager Ashley Edwards as she investigates her past on Blood Edward Island, a location name that sounds a bit like the development team took a bodily fluid, a random man's name, smooshed them together and then hoped no one would notice, like calling the area Snot Joseph Island or Saliva Brian Island, like something like that. These games were never critical darlings upon original release, but the Another Code games have retained a dedicated fanbase over the last 2 decades, even with the sequel A Journey into Lost Memories never being released in North America until now, that is. Woohoo! No one's gonna play it. And there's barely any time to wait too, as another code Recollection launches mere days from now on January 19th. I will be buying it day one because I tell you something, I will always support Nintendo's kamikaze releases. Gaming would be a much more boring place without them. Number 6, Rift of the Necrodancer. Roguelike rhythm game Crypt of the Necrodancer turned a lot of heads when it first dropped back in 2015, and almost a decade later, that can't be right, can it? No. It's not been 10 years. Come on, shut up. And almost a decade later, Brace Yourself Games is finally back with a wildly unexpected follow-up. Rift of the Necrodancer is a spin-off which splits the difference between Guitar Hero and Punch-Out, focused more on rhythm than roguelike. This is a lane-based combat game where, once again, protagonist Cadence must slay monsters to the beat. This standalone adventure seems primed to offer a more casual experience for fans of the original, albeit one which still boasts tough combat and tricky boss fights, and the original composer, Danny Baranowski, is back to deliver another face-melting soundtrack of more than 25 songs. Rift of the Necrodancer was originally targeting a 2023 release, but now it's expected to land in the first half of this year. Lucky us. Why not make your New Year's resolution to subscribe to the FGS channel? Honestly, it only takes about 4 milliseconds, and then you can smugly lord that achievement over your friends who have chosen much stupider resolutions like losing weight or solving world hunger, things like that. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Whoever at Nintendo decided that the perfect Mario spin-off would be a marriage between his lankier brother and the Exorcist really does deserve a raise, and potentially some counselling. A remaster of Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon has been at the top of many Switch owners' wish lists ever since the console launched, and now, over a decade after the game's first release, it's finally being liberated from its shackles on the 3DS. For those whose first experience with Luigi's Mansion was 2019's third game, then you absolutely owe it to yourself to play this one. I mean, I say that, I only played about an hour of the original on my 3DS, but tell me this, are you truly a gamer if you haven't paid full price for the same game twice just to try and get yourself into it? And if you were worried that the much-loved co-op multiplayer Scare Scraper mode might not have made the cut, then fear not, because it is back. So you can get 3 of your pals together either locally or online and have a blast with it. Luigi's Mansion 2 is currently set to land on the Switch in the nebulous mid-2024 release window. I'll be putting a pre-order in because this boy has worked hard to get out of his brother's shadow, and I respect that. Number 4, the Plucky Squire. Alright, okay, look, I know it looks as if the Plucky Squire is going to be playable on just about everything when it releases this year, probably even your air fryer, but it just screams Nintendo. It would be an insult to play it on anything but the Switch. The story kicks off as Jot, the titular Plucky Squire, is kicked out of his 2D storybook and into the real 3D world. A bit like when your dad kicked you out of the house over Christmas because you were just sitting about in your pants all day crying at TikToks. But you know, with more of a kind of storybook whimsy to it. On paper, it doesn't look like anything hugely original, but when you see this game in motion, oh, it looks as if it's playing with the fusion of 2D and 3D gameplay unlike anything we've ever seen. Keep your eyes peeled for this one when it launches sometime this year. I don't know when it'll be, but I'm guessing it's going to be worth it. Number 3, Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door HD. The Nintendo Switch's final year as an active console continues to be a nostalgia-fueled victory lap, with a remake of 2004's much-loved Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, a remake of one of the greatest RPGs of all time. What have you been doing with your life if you haven't played this? I haven't played it. The Thousand Year Door's evocative art style, creative paper-based gameplay and engaging RPG mechanics combine to make it one of the most singularly brilliant Mario titles ever produced. But now having it on handheld and in HD is just the icing on a very delicious papery cake. No firm release date yet, other than the very general 2024, but come on now, we've had more than enough Mario recently to keep us occupied. Let's not get greedy, just be patient. Number 2, Shiren the Wanderer, Number 2, the Shiren the Wanderer, the Mystery Dungeon of Serpentcoil. Oh, honestly, this title is like the word equivalent of one of those pictures that's supposed to simulate having a stroke. Number 2, Shiren the Wanderer, the Mystery Dungeon of Serpentcoil Island. Yes, got it. Shiren the Wanderer, the mystery dungeon of Serpentcoil Island, is one of the most exciting games set to launch exclusively on the Switch this year. A game so exciting, I only heard about it for the first time while literally reading that sentence. Though fans had to wait an agonising 6 years for the previous game to be localised and released in the West, this latest entry will gratefully land the very same week at the tail end of January. God bless us all, everyone. While it appears that the series' signature dungeon crawling gameplay is back, mostly untouched, developer Spike Chunsoft, coincidentally the name I was christened, has handily included some quality of life features such as an overhauled UI and the ability to track your steps on the minimap. Oh, it's the little things. Even though early 2024 is absolutely packed with quality RPGs across all platforms, I'm told that you do well to carve out at least a couple of hours with this one. What's it called again? I've never heard of this game. Is this a fake game? Is this a prank? Number 1, Metroid Prime 4. And our list concludes with a game which, if we're being completely honest, could easily miss 2024 and even 2025. We'll be lucky if we see it before the 2028 presidential election of Timothy Chalamet, if I'm honest. Nintendo's been cooking Metroid Prime 4 for the better part of a decade now, given that it was first announced back at E3 2017, and yet we've still not seen even a single frame of gameplay, which, combined with reports of the project being internally rebooted in 2019, indicate that it's maybe been a tricky one to bring to term. But if there's one thing I trust Nintendo to do, it's to take their time to make a classic. No one rushes the masters. And look, it's just like Shigeru Miyamoto famously said, stop writing down everything I say and using it as inspirational Reddit posts. Sometimes I just say shit, okay? Not everything is gold. Was that the quote? I'm sure it was something else. And with Metroid Prime Remastered proving itself a robust seller earlier last year, it certainly makes sense that Nintendo would take their time to ensure that this long gestating sequel is worthy of the original trilogy. Online whispers point to Nintendo possibly aiming for a summer 2024 release date, and if those rumours are indeed true, it could end up being a launch title for the Switch too. Sorry, nope, take that back. It could end up being a launch title for the Super Nintendo Switch. Think about that. So, will it come out next year? Will it be any good? Will it join the ranks of Half-Life 3 as a mythical game that we'll never play? Or will it become a Duke Nukem Forever that you can purchase for about £3 6 weeks after launch? Ah well, only time will tell. So there you go, 10 games to look out for on the Nintendo Switch this year. If you've enjoyed this videos and my ramblings, then please do have a think about subscribing to the FGS channel. We've got loads of other good stuff to watch and listen to, and if you end up hating it, then you can just put your computer in the bin. Yeah, win-win.